Have you ever wondered what the word courage means to you? A lot of the times we imagine that courage refers to people with massive ability, massive power, going the extra mile to do things that are unthinkable. But courage is different for different people because if I'm an expert in something, doing that thing does not make me courageous because it's my everyday level of ability. Whereas you who is not an expert in that area, attempting and achieving that thing makes you courageous because it throws you way out of your comfort and knowledge zone. So courage is reaching beyond the unthinkable at a time which is unimaginable, with skills or abilities that were perceived to be limited in the face of that action, that deed, that service. That's courage. Courage is linked to purpose, it's linked to passion, it's linked to love, it's linked to the significance of that thing to you. Because that lights a fire in you that moves you on in a way that is unimaginable. My view of courage is acceptance of self, acceptance of circumstance. You have to accept the risk, knowing that wherever you're sitting is not good enough without that thing that your courage is moving you towards, that your life is empty without, that your life is not good enough without, then it spurs you on because you know that sitting back may as well be dying because of the circumstances that you find yourself in. And that just means that courage then can be situational because there are things that you rather sit back and let them play out, and there are things that you cannot sit back and watch, whether it's injustice, whether it's crime, or someone just being hurt in a way that spurs you to step in, even though that action and that crisis scares you. A lot of the times we feel and we listen to courageous acts and think, wow, what were they thinking? How strong they must be to have put themselves in those situations or through those situations to get to those things that we hear of in bewilderment. But I think courage is within each person's power and ability. And sometimes we minimize our own courageous acts because they do not seem to be big enough in our eyes. I also think that courage comes from people who understand, accept, and lean into their ability to manage risk in the process and not in their minds, in their thoughts. Courage is about passion, passion that moves you beyond human power, human will, and human ability. Something that ignites in you unthinkable strength, determination, and courage because of the goals that have to be achieved, because of service, and because of outcomes that are bigger than fear that often puts us back into our seats. I read somewhere about this indigenous woman whose son was kidnapped by invaders into the far, unreachable mountains. And the army was rallied and sent after these people. And they climbed and climbed and climbed and searched and searched and searched and gave up at some point because the mountains were treacherous. Their search had gone on for days and they were quite frankly exhausted, scared, and really hopeless. But as they lumbered home in despair, they saw this woman bouncing down the mountains, cuddling the baby. She went after the army. She snatched her baby off of the arms of these scary people, an act that the army couldn't succeed in. And as they ran to her in bewilderment and questioned her how that was possible, how did you do it? How did you climb the mountains? How did you get the baby? And her simple response was because it's my baby. and you failed because it wasn't your baby. That power was not ignited in you. That force that you could not live without was not ignited in you. So your power took you halfway up the mountain. But I have no power if I wasn't coming home with this baby. And I think a lot of the times we fall short in our own actions because the fire within us in relation to those things is not hot enough. Okay, that's why I'm having this conversation with you today. When you want it bad enough, when you love it deep enough, when the power in you and the service call is strong enough, you will climb the mountains and you will do the service beyond your imagination, beyond your human power. That thing that you sit back and assess yourself to be able to. That's not courage. Courage is that one that takes you beyond the treacherous mountains of fear, of duty, of service, and of love, beyond boundaries, beyond imagination, and beyond simple human reasoning. So if you're not running far enough, then your fire is not burning hot enough. Worry about how you can light that fire to burn deeper, and it will take you to your destination and back home. Have a lovely day.